Neil, Carl, thanks for sitting down and chatting to us. It's good to talk about all levels of the stand, and this is an exciting opportunity this season because there's probably never been as much of a connection between the junior levels and the first team, and that's because, Carl, you joined the first team coaching setup. So we'll chat about that shortly, but first, Neil, if you could just tell me a bit about Heaton Stan Juniors and what it's all about and the background of getting it started and all that.
Yeah, so we'll be coming up to our third season now. I think when we first set it up, it was all about the community and enhancing what we do there already through the seniors. They've wanted a junior set up for a long time, and opportunity came along for me to get involved, and I jumped at it. The other part of that is obviously the pathway that we're trying to create from the juniors to the seniors. Heaton Stan haven't had that before. And in just 2 years, we've grown rapidly. Last season, our under-18s provided 2 or 3 players to Russ's team. Some of the lads were training with the first team to get some exposure, and then we were lucky enough to have a conversation with Carl and get the opportunity to set up an academy. So in a short space of time, we've grown massively and come to a point now where we've got an under-18 and an academy side, and looking forward to what that might bring.
So big successes last season, playing in the FA Youth Cup for the first time, beating Darlington, which was a big result, and then bringing quite a big crowd here for the game against Gates as well. What was that like for you as a coach to have that kind of on your, not just on your CV, but to have the opportunity to give those young players a chance to play in what is a massive competition at the end, you know, a team like Manchester City or Chelsea goes on to win?
Yeah, I think for me it was amazing. It was the defining moment in terms of that connection between the youth and the older teams. Coming here to the game, which we unfortunately lost, but gave a good account of ourselves, and seeing all of our under 8s, under 7s, 9s, 10s, 11s here watching and thinking, yeah, we can do that. And the lads feeling like they're part of something special, and then those lads coming and seeing us at St James's Park, it brings it all together, and it's something that we want more of, if I'm being honest. That growth, we can't sit still. We need to move on, and the academy's going to allow us to do that and give the lads exposure, and hopefully just help us grow and show that opportunities are there to play in big games, even if you are a youth team player.
I guess those sort of big games and big cup runs, they're a big incentive, but also just what the club has to offer and that pathway. Just tell me a little bit about like what that pathway looks like basically. So what sort of things, if someone was to become a Heaton Stan Juniors player, what would that pathway look like for them? Yeah,
so we've got teams, like I say right now, from under 7s all the way up to under 18s, and what we're looking to do is then progress from under 18, maybe in under 21s into the reserve team. Russ has got a really young reserve side. He brings young players through, and then ultimately getting into the first team. So we tell our under 7s and under 8s on a match day, this is what you could be doing. And I think you'll have seen last season the number of mascots that we have from the juniors. That's a big incentive. Every team gets to be a mascot during the season because we want to feel that connection, and we want those lads to come and play for this club. It's a great feeling. There's some lads who I know in the first team who I had acquaintances with at Kilmath, for example, and they've gone on and through the junior ranks at Kilmath and are now playing for Heaton Stan. But the proudest moment for me will be when one of those juniors has gone all the way through and pulls on the shirt for a Stan first team or reserve team, and I'm sure we're not far away from that.
I was going to say, Carl, this is where you come in, because with your role now as first team coach, I mean, the prospect of having those juniors in the first team has probably never felt as close as this. And I guess from your point of view, somebody who's looked after these young players, you'll probably want to find opportunities as much as possible, as much as suits the team and suits what's going on. You want to do that as much as possible, I guess.
I think it's massive for a club to provide a pathway. I think a lot of kids get into football just for the enjoyment, but there's really talented players out there where they do want to progress with their football, and they want to stay and play at a higher level. And the club's now got a pathway going from the juniors into the academy, which is a post-16 education programme. And if you look at all of the top non-league teams now across the country, they all have an academy like this. Going into the National League Under 19s Alliance allows us now to take these young players and expose them to the best of our players across the country, expose them in the FA Youth Cup, and then hopefully the pathway for these players is to go with Russ into the reserves team, or even if they're good enough, they might go straight into the first team from the academy. So I think it's a massive opportunity for the club, but also for every player that comes through the door now.
So what's been your kind of journey to being, you know, having the academy with Heaton Stan and now first team involvement like?
I've had a very varied background in regards to what I've done. Started off coaching many moons ago at Wallsend, went through into coaching at the county, then went into Newcastle United Foundation, and that's when things kind of took off from there. Once I left Newcastle, believe it or not, I worked for Juventus.
Oh.
And I lived abroad for a short time. After I came back from Juventus, I went into Middlesbrough as an academy coach. And from there, I've went into Pro Direct as academy manager. On the senior side of it, last season I was with West Allotment Celtic in the Northern League, and now I've come across to Heaton Stan. How the academies came about is we saw it was a fantastic opportunity for us to provide the academy for Heaton Stan, but for Heaton Stan to also give us the platform to go play on the National League. And basically they were closest club to us in regards to geographically of where we're based. You know, the club that have achieved astonishing things over the last few years, and we really wanted to be a part of that. So
you've spoken about the kind of the vision and how that's going to work. Are you recruiting for players at the moment? Is there gaps in the team now? If there are people who want to get involved and play or even coach, what sort of opportunities are there within the academy at the moment?
So the academy is a post-16 programme, so any year 11s now that are leaving school and have got ambitions that they want to be a professional footballer, a semi-professional footballer, and they also want to coincide that with getting their education, they can contact us now, and we're open. You know, we've been having open trials all season for that. The door's open for any player of any capability as well. It's not just about the elite side. We try to provide a platform for anybody to progress in football, be it if they want to come in and become a football coach, you know, if they want to become a physio, if they want to become a PE teacher, if they want to do health and nutrition. It's not just about the ability of a player, it's about opening it up to everybody. So obviously once we'll put this out, we'll put a link in there for them if they want to click on and get in touch to find out about their academy programme.
I think as well with this sort of thing, especially when it's younger players and younger people, so much of it's about the sport, but also just that team building and that getting to make friends and just sort of build them as a person. I guess for you both as youth coaches, that's maybe the most important thing, is that young people are getting these opportunities to do activities that, you know, keep them healthy both physically and mentally, and all that comes with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as Carl said, the academy is the pinnacle, but there are levels within the academy as well, and there are levels within our youth setup. So we've got kids who come here who don't have aspirations to be professional footballers. They just want to play football with their mates, and we cater for that, as well as those children who do have aspirations, who do want to go on and play for the first team or even higher, which is phenomenal. For me, if we mix all of those and they're here watching Heaton Stan in whatever capacity it is, then that's amazing. There's memories from the cup final that'll live with me forever, and it's not just of the first team winning, it's of the kids with their Stan shirts off, twirling them around their heads, with mates that they didn't have before, people they don't go to school with. That for me is what it's all about. It's about the growth. It's about the growth in the community and offering chances that you wouldn't get outside of a team sport like football. So yes, we do want an aim of getting players coming through and going to that level, but at the same time, if we get another 30, 40, 50 fans of Heaton Stan out of this who don't go on to do that, that's great. They're still involved in football, and we might pick up some volunteers for other roles along the way like we have already.
And obviously for you as well, being a Stan supporter, like, you know, you're here on first team match days and you're on away days and all that sort of thing. And you've mentioned the community side as well, like, you know, having those young kids who are at St James's Park wearing the Stan shirts and they're so passionate. Like, I think we felt as a fan base of the first team, there is a kind of a younger fan base coming in, to have those young lads and young girls who sort of live and breathe the Heaton Stan shirt, you know, that passion. It can only be good for the community, for them, for the club, for everyone.
Absolutely, you've got to create a sustainable model, especially as we grow. We need to increase that fan base, and getting the juniors along who bring their parents is one way to do it naturally. And like I say, just building that foundation can only help the whole club. We get players coming through you know, we get to grow our own in the style that we're trying to do, and I'm sure when we speak to Andy later, he'll say the same thing. And it just protects the club. You know, football has a lot of older volunteers within it, especially with this. You've got to get the youngsters coming through who have the passion to drive it on. There's too many clubs who, let's face it, are struggling right now. And for me, you've got to find different ways, and those ways, the clubs that are successful right now have that youth set up, have that link with the community. It guarantees you good crowds, it guarantees you people coming through who want to go into the roles. So it's a natural progression for us.
And I think as well, this is probably another important thing for you to consider when you're, you know, bringing up these younger players, is that kind of the mindset's a really important thing. Like you can have the physical ability, you've got to also have a strong mindset. And I think with Heaton Stan and this club, it's such a positive environment. I think the players who come into the first team, I mean, you'll know this, Carl, from working with them, but they're all really strong, good people. It's always spoken about as a team of mates above anything else. And is that something that you kind of factor in when you're coaching the players in terms of, you know, making sure they're brought up right and making sure that they are good with each other and, you know, and good to themselves and all that sort of thing?
I think you've got to have a holistic approach to coaching, and it's got to be the person before the player. And you've got to remember that these are the children at the end of the day. So when they come in, you know, I think you have your morals, how you want them to act, how they behave, how they interact with each other, the respect that they show, the coaches, the opposition. I think all of that's really important. And from what I've seen so far, that's kind of a thread that's all the way through the club.
Yeah, our ethos is a family-friendly club first. That's what we're all about. Our presentation days are built around community. They're built around having people in families here. So we look at the family aspect first, and the football takes care of itself later. Doesn't mean we don't want teams that are progressing and high, but it also means that we welcome all players of all abilities. And it is about that family feel. That's what we want to create. That's what brought me back into it after a few years out of youth football. That's why I was talked back into it, because of the community and the atmosphere that's here with the fans. It was like, yeah, I want to do something, and I want to get the kids involved, because this is the right club to do that with.
So being joined by the assistant manager Andy McBride alongside Carl. So Andy, we've been talking about Heaton Stan Juniors and the pathway and just how nice it would be to have these youngsters that we see around the club eventually having a pathway into the first team. I mean, for you as somebody who's part of that process of picking the first team and working with the current lot, how nice would it be to have those juniors in the mix?
Brilliant. I think it's a vital thing that came in, to be honest with you. I think when Dean and me came in, it didn't exist. So now it does. Now adding what Carl's bringing to the mix, I think the ambition is to get someone to come all the way through from under 6s, under 7s, to then go for Heaton Stan. That may well happen when I'm not here, when Dean's not here, when Carl's not here, but I think that's the long term, and I think it's tough, but we're now putting the building blocks in place to sort of achieve that. So yeah, we're really pleased with it, so long way to continue.
I mean, Neil and Carl have spoken about like what it's meant to the club to have that kind of growth. You know, we've seen just physical changes to the ground and just things have developed with the club as you've come through with promotions and just I don't know, ecosystem and all that sort of thing. To have this as an extra thing now is another dimension for you as coaches, but just for the club as well.
Brilliant. I mean, obviously Russ has been here and he's done a great job. Russ, he's now got the reserves up, the A team up to the Alliance Prem, which is good, and he's been trying to sort of stem the gap a little bit. I know it's hard to say because we've progressed and he's progressed, so to now sort of have the academy lads come in as well, and also have the juniors that can feed in, it's honestly it's such a good thing to have, you know. And hopefully if there's one or two that can step up and train. I mean, we've discussed a few with Carl, we've discussed a few with us who have had him with us already. That's probably the main thing. It probably will be a slow process, but you'll probably see the benefit, especially for us, and then especially for us as we go on and we develop kids. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I was speaking to Dean this afternoon as well. Can't be here today, but he's really pleased with it as well. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes, and we've got the best people in place to make it work and make it happen. So yeah, we're really happy with it.
I mean, for you, Carl, in terms of, as Andy just said there, that Russ has got Stan here now, they're only a league below where Dean and Andy were when you first took the job. That's an incredible platform to, if there are players who are ready to step up and Russ wants them in there and you think it's beneficial to them, then they can go and play a really good standard of football.
Yeah, the Alliance Premier is a good standard of football. There's some top teams down there, top players as well, and I think it's good for their football education. You know, it's quite difficult to go from under 16s straight into senior football. And I think, you know, with the academy, with the under-18s, they can bridge that gap a little bit. But then to go from under-16s to the Northern Prem, that gap is absolutely huge. So if we do feel somebody's ready for senior football and they fit that profile, Heaton Stan Juniors is an ideal place for to put them. You know, a good quality player that can go in and learn with good young players as well. And then when we feel they are ready, then potentially bring them into the first team setup.
Let's talk first team briefly because we've got you both here. We may as well chat a little bit about what's on the corner. So we're talking here, you know, start of June. I guess pre-season for you with the first team will get started pretty soon. How excited are you to get back out there and start working on the new season?
Excited. I think obviously speaking to Carl and speaking to Dean, we went for a little wander when Carl came in and we had a bit chat, and that was what, 2 weeks ago maybe, something like that. And it's just exciting. I feel last summer was tough for the club, not in a bad way, but I think moving up to a new level, there was a lot of challenges that were about, and in this summer we're quite settled, and we've made some good additions to the squad. We've kept a lot of the squad. We've got a couple of training. We've got Carl coming in. We've got a new physio who's going to be announced very soon as well. So yeah, things have been really positive, and we're still 13 days away still, and it seems ages. I mean, we've spoke quite a bit about it. Just you want to be back in tomorrow, and I spoke to Dean as well. He certainly wanted to be in the day after the cup final, you know. But you've got to allow the lads to have a bit of a break. But the prep's there, and the schedule's there, and everyone's just chomping at the bit to get going. Really, aren't they? That's
100%. It was a tough season last season. Both were for different reasons. You know, I was at Western Lot and Celtic. We know how Heaton Stan got on, and we needed the rest mentally. But it doesn't take long before you start missing it and you want to get back out on the grass. Luckily for me, I'm full time in the academy, so we're still training at the moment. So I know Andy's popping in this week to do a session with the lads, because you miss it. We've sat down, we've planned what the pre-season is going to look like. We've got great friendlies coming up. We've got a great facility to do the pre-season at. And luckily, after the chats we've had, you know, we're on the same wavelength in regards to how we feel we should approach the training, how we feel we should put the players through, what they need to go through. So yeah, can't wait to get started really.
And just in terms of what that change might look like, because when somebody new comes in, there obviously is change just in terms of personnel, but there might be a slight change in terms of how you conduct things. Or I mean, Andy, this is a program for you as well from what you know about Carl. Do you think things will be different under Carl? Is there a particular thing that attracted you to bringing in Carl? Or
no, he's on the same wavelength as Dean and myself. I think as soon as it was clear that last season wasn't going to continue, so to speak, it was the first man who we sort of thought about. And we spoke for a little bit, didn't we? And we thought it might happen, and you've got to wait. Obviously, got to be respectful, because Jamie was looking to go to Crook as he's gone on and moved on, and we probably had chats about it that may happen. So when it came along, we just had a chat, and straight away, especially me and yourself have got on a little bit well for the past few weeks, and Dean's had having a little bit of a break, but we've constantly been in touch, you know. I don't think there'll be loads of difference. I think you fit in more like how me and you are really, and Dean, and in how the training is.
I'll say every coach has their own little quirks and little ways to do things, but I don't think it'll be massively different. I think, you know, I'm just hoping to just blend in, to be fair. You don't want big change. You know, the squad's not going to have a big change, and like you said earlier on about how the squad's a tight-knit group, you know, I'm hoping I can fit in with them, not go there and change the things and say, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that, because let's face it, over the last 3 or 4 seasons, they've been massively successful, so not much actually needs to change. It might just be a couple of little things here and there.
Well, it's exciting, both for the first team and for the academy, and for Stan here, the club generally, the community. I mean, we were saying just yesterday, like, there's just been so much good news coming out lately, like, long may it continue, and hoping that continues with the results on the pitch.
100%.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, Liam.